Hello, Teacherpreneur Frenzies. It's Jess and Amanda. We're back with another fun episode. Today, the theme, if you're watching on YouTube, the theme is Batman. And we were thinking about how do you send out a Batman signal for when you need help with your business? Because as you start a small business, you're going to encounter a lot of problems and things that come up in your business. So we were going to talk about some of the problems that we've been through, how we solve them, and maybe you'll get some easy tips and tricks for your own journey on with your business, because it's inevitable that you are going to run into snags here and there. And we want to be here to help you because we love helping people with their businesses. So hopefully this podcast gets you some cool ideas. And we're back. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to our wacky Teacherpreneur tell-all intro. I know it's a fun one. Anyway, we're back now, and I wore a Batman shirt. I just randomly found one of my old Batman shirts. Now, in my 20s, I wore Batman clothes almost every day of the week. I was a little bit weird about Batman, and my first classroom was actually a Batman classroom, my first and second classroom. And so I have a big love for Batman. And I was thinking when I found this background, oh, it's the bat signal. And when you put up the bat signal, you need help. And I was thinking about all the times we've both needed help in our business, because sometimes we've come to each other for help, but sometimes we've had to hire out. Sometimes, like, I know I had an assistant. I know we've already talked about your Wesley.
My Wesley.
Your Wesley.
Yeah.
You had that guy named Wesley, right?
Yeah. And actually, I just recently had a coaching call with a listener of our podcast, and I referred her to Wesley, and Wesley was very grateful. So, yeah, for that reference. Yeah. And actually, I was just thinking last night I was making a TPT product. And my husband's very logical science. He's a scientist, and the product kind of needed that kind of a brain and so I asked him, I was like, what do you think of this? Like, what kind of questions should I put in here? And because I was trying to get, students in the product to think like a scientist. And so, I mean, sometimes I even ask my husband, who has no idea, how TPT works, or what the teacher's life is. So just even asking your spouse, I don't know, for help. But anyways, yeah, we all need help. We can't just do it all by ourselves.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how I started. Like when I started on TPT, it's actually my TPT anniversary. I started Memorial Day weekend, and gosh, I think it was either 2014 or 15 when I started my store. And I remember, I'm starting, and first I needed help just figuring out how to start a store. And I discovered the TPT forums. The TPT forums are still there. It's just they're not very updated. It's almost like going to a website in 1992, if you were alive back then. Maybe if you're listening, you were. I don't know. I hate to assume, but it's almost like going to a Reddit thread. Like there's a Reddit, it's a really old message board. But if you need help on TPT, a lot of people go to the TPT forums. But that was pretty hot when I became a seller. And that's how I learned about the TPT conference. And I would get all my questions asked. And sometimes you could even post a product and say, what do you think about this cover? Did I do this right? Because when you're first starting out, you're first making stuff, you want to get feedback. But since then, that's how I started with getting help, because I was like, there has to be something on the website to get help. And now they actually have it's called TPT School or TPT University. Have you ever been to that, Amanda? And all the most frequently asked questions are on there. Like, we're talking copyright infringement, legality questions, running a business. I mean, everything you could imagine is on the TPT, this TPT school section or TPT University. I should look up the exact name for the listeners, but you can get like, I wish they had that when I started, because they actually have this whole little mini course you can go through to better understand how to run your teacher store. But I understand people listening there out there might not all be Teachers Pay Teachers sellers. So there's other places you could go. And I'm thinking, I don't know, what are some other, I know Facebook groups, and there's one called Wallflowers, Teachers Pay Teachers Wallflowers. There's a couple thousand people in the group, maybe like 3 or 4,000. I don't know now. And you can ask them for help on Teachers Pay Teachers. There's a lot out there. But if you're looking outside Teachers Pay Teachers, I still rely mostly on Facebook groups. Like when I became a librarian, first thing my teachers told me to do, join these 5 Facebook groups for help. I think it's the best place to go when you need help, because the information is current and people in those groups actually want to help people. And but then there's other times that I don't know. Have you ever had your own assistant or anyone like helping you run your business besides Wesley or
Yes,
your
I want
husband?
to talk about that in a minute, but first I want to say something. So, I personally don't like, this is just me, publicly asking questions like on in Facebook groups or like in forums. I don't know why. It's just like really uncomfortable for me to like, hey, could someone tell me what they think of this cover? I don't know. Maybe it's the
Did you
rejection, but I just
did you
want to say
know?
something real quick. So,
Okay.
and I think this kind of relates to Batman because Batman is very private and secret, right? And he doesn't just like publicly like ask these questions, right? And so like if you're someone that's like Batman or like me, you need like a Robin, you want to be able to like ask questions in private because it is kind of like putting yourself out there in public, like being vulnerable, saying, look, I'm having this problem, please help. That can be really hard. Some people are comfortable with that. And you can actually post anonymously now in Facebook groups. But I was just going to say, like, I really love podcasts because, and like scrolling through podcasts that have been around for a really long time and finding the topics that I like need help with, So like Pat Flynn, Amy Porterfield, Jenna Kutcher, these are some of my favorite podcasts just about general business things because I'm not, really. And then I asked privately, like my friends, my teacher, paid teacher friends on Voxer. So, I mean, there's like public asking for help and there's like private asking for help. And so I just wanted to kind of differentiate between those, right? I don't know. Cause sometimes, yeah, like I said, it's vulnerable to like say you need help with something, especially in like a group of thousands and thousands of teachers, like the forums or the um,
True.
Facebook groups. Also YouTube. I love YouTube. I'm always searching YouTube for solutions to my problems. And Chat GPT now. I can ask Chat GPT for help. Um, but yeah, so do you want me to talk about when I've hired people or what
Yeah,
we
have you
should talk about what
I've
problems we've
hired
had?
people, so yeah. Have you hired people? Like, let's talk about that real quick, because sometimes you don't need questions answered. Sometimes throwing up the bat signal is like a bat signal is like you just need an extra pair of hands, an extra set of eyes, another brain, or maybe someone to do some tasks that you don't really want to do at the time.
Yeah, so I've hired lots of different people throughout my career as a entrepreneur, teacherpreneur. I hired Wesley because my website got hacked. And so I went actually to the WordPress forums. That's where I found him. And I think he's there a lot, helping people. So yeah, I mean, sometimes you find people you can hire in these forums and even in these Facebook groups. Um, I know your friend Ashley. I mean, she's my friend too, but I think you're closer with her than I am, or talk to her more regularly. I wish I talked to her more regularly. I look up to her. Ashley, Building Book Love, she has a group, a Facebook group where you can hire people for projects like VAs and things, which is really awesome. So you don't necessarily have to hire. See, that's a mistake I made. So I thought that I had to be all legal about it, and like I actually hired my brother because I realized there was so much stuff that I was doing that was kind of mindless. And I could have been working on something else while and so my brother is really interested in making some extra cash, and he lives in Washington State. So I actually like uh, hired him as an employee. And I do not recommend that because it is a pain, because you actually have to like inform Washington State and inform California. That's where I am. And you have to like pay money, like to like hire people. And you have to, I don't know, it was just really hard. And so I would recommend, if you're going to hire anyone, hire them as like a contractor where it's not like a permanent employee. It's just like someone that's doing a project for you. Yeah, don't hire an employee. Like that is just a whole big, I mean, I think that's when you become kind of a bigger like company, when you start actually hiring employees. Because one other thing, so like when I told Washington State that I had an employee, I kept getting these notifications. Like I had to, those giant posters that are in like your staff room that have like, the employee rights. I had to buy one of those, and it was like this letter that said you must hang this poster. I mean, and it is a huge poster, and I'm just like, what, where am I going to hang this, in my house? Like, and my brother can't even see this thing. Like it was it was really ridiculous. And they kept sending me letters saying you have to buy this new poster that's updated. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I did not know I was going to have to buy all these posters just to have my brother as an employee. Um, yeah, ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, I also have hired coaches. Like I had a coach for over a year, Kelly Wise, and she was amazing. And I learned so much from her. And really, I got a lot of like just one-on-one support around like the mindset of being a business owner, and rejection, and like how to handle that. And that really, when you're an entrepreneur, that is part of the game, is not everyone is going to like you, not everyone is going to want to buy from you, and just like how kind of painful that is, but like realizing that that's just the name of the game. um where else have I gotten help? I don't know what. So I've had lots of problems, right? Like problems with my website, problems just having too much on my plate and like doing mindless things when I shouldn't have been doing them. I've even hired my mom, but I didn't hire her as an employee. She just like did a bunch of mindless work for me, and then I just PayPal'd her some money. I don't know. What about you?
That's great. I wanted to piggyback on something you said. Like you said, like we haven't really, like we're not at the levels where we're hiring full-time employees and stuff like that. And I wanted to give a shout out to this podcast, Grow with Angie and April, a podcast for teacher sellers, because I know that April for sure has employees, because one of my buddies is one of her employees.
Oh, cool.
I think she talks about on this other podcast, Grow with Angie and April. I think they talk about having full-time employees, and they go in a little bit more depth about that. They're definitely, I mean, these guys are like millionaire teachers, right?
Yeah,
I shouldn't be saying that. I don't know for sure. I'm
you
assuming.
probably are.
I love April. She's some of the first TPT products I've ever bought were her TPT products. And she was my favorite TPT seller when I would first became a teacher. So I just know that they're really, I mean, she has a team of like people. She has a huge team of people. So if you are on that level and you're listening to this and you want to know more, like, oh, my TPT is growing really rapidly, or I'm not really in those beginning levels, like it's really good to find coaches who are. And I would say Angie and April, they're gonna teach you how they what kind of problems they encounter with their zillions of dollars. They're
um,
probably gonna be really upset. Like,
well,
did you call us a zillionaire? That doesn't even exist.
well, they probably won't ever listen to this, but we should put a link to their show in the show notes, and also a link to um the forums. We'll put links to this stuff. And then I don't know if Ashley Bible is accepting people into her VA Facebook group or not. Maybe we should find out and then put a link to that, because I know I'm in that group, and she might even be starting a new group that's like for really serious teacher paid teacher sellers who really like, I want to hire someone this summer, and I saw that actually. And I was kind of wanting to, but then I was like, no, 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 because working with other people, I mean, that takes a lot of legwork too. I feel like sometimes we're like, oh, this is easy. Like, I'll just give this person this stuff. But I think it's more complicated than that. Like you got to meet with them on Zoom and explain things that they might not know. Another place is Fiverr. And that's actually where we found the really awesome dude who does our intro and outro. Right. He
Yeah.
was great. And it was so easy. It was just like, we just messaged him and we were like, this is what we're looking for. He gave us some ideas. We messaged back and forth. We had our intro and outro within a few days. And
Yeah.
so Fiverr is a really great place to find people to do little projects for you too. For
Yeah.
pretty
I I hired one of my friends once. She had posted that she was looking to make, I think she said she wanted a part-time job where she could make like $100 a week. And I thought, oh, $100 a week. And we didn't really, I guess I did make some mistakes like hiring her, as I was like $100 a week. She wanted to work a few, no more than, I don't know. It was probably like, yeah, she wanted like a Friday job, like something she could work all day on Friday, or maybe put in a couple hours here and there through the week, no more than 10 hours. It wasn't necessarily like an hourly rate. She just wanted a guaranteed $100 a week. And she had her teaching credentials. So I knew she could help me. So I did hire her, and she worked for me for, I don't know, probably about 6 months. And it was kind of interesting. I had this giant project to give her. Like I had this idea in the back of my mind, but then I didn't know what to do next. And then I think she got kind of burnt out on what I wanted her to do. Like I wanted her to find me websites and links that I could use as resources for teachers, because I do a lot of research projects, right? And so I don't know. Amanda got up and started doing stuff.
My cat, oh, there's my dog. My cat is knocking on my door.
Okay.
Sorry.
I guess this is just more editing work for you. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's whatever. Come on.
Anyway, so yeah, my problem with hiring out was that I had this one big project in mind, and she had to find 1,000 links for me for this project, and that I thought that was going to take a long time. But then once she was done with that, it was like, okay, what's next? So she tried writing some blog posts, and I think she was just sort of trying things out as well. Like she wanted to work for me, and she wanted to earn the $100 a week, but then like she didn't really know what she liked doing yet, because this was her first go around doing this kind of stuff. And I would imagine it's the same with like friends and family members. Maybe you have this really big project and you want them to help you with it, but then you're like, once you get the project done, you're like, okay, what now? So that was a little bit of my problems. And I honestly think like she did quit. And I think a little bit of it was like she was just kind of tired of doing what I wanted, which was finding me links for my research projects. Like that's what I wanted. That's what I don't have time to do myself, is what do they call that when you like vet a website? Like if you see if a website is kid appropriate or not, like try out a website. I don't know, is I don't want to send teachers and kids to websites that have weird stuff on them, you know?
And that's a really good project for someone to go and look at all your products and update links, because a lot
Yes.
of times links expire, like I even have old blog posts that I embedded YouTube videos into, and the YouTube video isn't available anymore, and so that is a pretty good project to give to someone to hire out for. and updating products. Yeah, I think that would be really helpful. I know, I feel like I should talk about like what, like I actually have had, it's funny, and now that I think about it, I hired my brother as an employee. And he doesn't work for me anymore because he has like a real job. This was kind of when he was like trying to figure out what to do with his life after he graduated high school. He's 7 years younger than me, and now he has like a real job, so he's way too busy. And we had to, I had to let him go, but or no, maybe he quit. I don't know. It was good. It was amicable. But my dad also has done stuff for me, and my mom. So
Wow.
yeah, it's funny because they all like want to help me because they know how busy I am and stretched I am. And sometimes they're even like, "Hey Amanda, do you have anything?" Because both my parents are retired. But like my dad, so I had, a bunch of units, and I was like, I want you to take each of these lessons and split it up. Like, so he made me like individual PDFs of all of the lessons that were within a unit. So he needed access to like Adobe, which is kind of hard too, because you want to hire someone who like, I kind of think you kind of need someone who is familiar with like technology, like, or if you want them to help you with Pinterest or creating covers or whatever, like they need to kind of be familiar with like Canva or PowerPoint or Google Drive and I rely heavily on Google Drive. Like a lot of my things are editable because I love, like whenever I buy something from TPT, I'm so grateful when it's editable because, and I know a lot of teachers aren't, they don't, teacher sellers don't like doing that because they're afraid their stuff is going to get stolen, which is a legitimate fear. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, these are just some of the projects that people have done for me. Um, what other projects have you, was that the only time you hired someone? Was that assistant?
Yeah, kind of. I tried to have my husband help me with it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Not my relationship with my husband, but having him do stuff for me. I don't know why I love technology and computers, but everyone in my life is like my mom, no computers, my dad, no computers, Anthony, my husband, no computers, right? Like they're not into technology, but what this is what I had my husband do is I wanted, again, what I need is people to find me links to resources that are kid friendly. So I had him start finding short videos on YouTube that kids could watch that would be kid friendly. Because I had all these ideas for like blog posts and TPT products where I could use these resources to supplement what I was trying to do. I'm like, here was my big idea. I was like, what if I did this product on frogs? Because at the time I had these kids asking me for frog lessons. Don't ask why. I mean, they're kids, right? They wanted more lessons about frogs. I did like a student interest survey. And so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna find like 25 frog videos and then I'm gonna play them and like we're gonna do this every day. We're gonna do a new frog video. And I was thinking, how cool would that be as a teacher to be able to have access to these frog videos that someone has watched all the videos, they're kid friendly, teacher approved, and if a kid really wants to nerd out on one topic, they would have that. And so I don't know.
It's,
We barely got through the list. It was really time consuming. And then it was like I thought we could just sit on the couch and I could like type out my TPT products and he could sit there on the iPad and again vet these videos.
watch frog videos. That's so hilarious.
Yeah,
Well,
and
yeah.
he did for a while, but it just kind of fizzled out. Like he was tired of looking at frog videos. So like I think I don't know, you really have to find someone that is going to stick to their job duties. And I've had a million TPT buddies whose husbands go and like proofread and edit their work. That's one thing you could do is print off all of your, use HP instant ink and print off all your products and have someone proofread. That's also really helpful. But for me, I'm always like, oh, I want to do these research and projects and PBL things. And I need outside safe resources. But so far, I can't find anyone who really wants to vet the
It's like
resources.
a curator is what it is.
Yeah,
And
it really
actually,
is.
it's funny because this morning, even I've been working on TPT, Jess. I'm mentioning this a lot. I am having a really hard time because I'm creating this product to help teachers teach research skills online and find credible sources and things, which Common Sense Media has like a lot of free resources. Have you ever done that before where you're like, wait a minute, this is already a wonderful resource. Like, what do I have to add to this? Like, why should I even make this when, this other company is giving this away for free? But I think my stuff is like, it's from a real teacher's point of view, and it's really like simple and like straightforward and editable and like concise, whereas like Common Sense Media, some of the stuff, it's like, I don't have time to read through all of this. And so I'm still creating this resource because even though like someone else has created it, right? And like maybe even did a better job than me on it. Have you ever heard of Twinkle? I think there's a lot of paid teacher sellers that hate Twinkle. Have you ever heard of
Oh,
that
I've never
website?
heard of it. No.
I think it's called Twinkle. But anyway, so I was like looking for yeah, Twinkle, an education company, but it's TWINKL. They've got like tons of stuff, but it's like a $5 membership. So you have to pay $5 every month, which is really cheap. And there's so many really great slideshows, and they're even Google slideshows. But anyways, I like looking at that stuff, and like looking at like, okay, what am I missing? What could I do better? Things like that. And a lot of these resources, it's really hard to, I mean, this is ridiculous to say, hard to find actual news articles that are fake news. Did you know that? Like, I'm like
Well, yes.
searching
And
everywhere and I'm like, where are these fake news articles?
yeah, I have something to blow your mind as I've actually worked on the exact same product.
Oh, really? We have the same
Yeah,
complete
I'm
product.
sure ours are totally different. So, but yeah, because I got a couple of years ago, I got this conference gig, and that's what they wanted me to talk about. They were like, could you do something about, researching since you're into PBLs? Could you do something about how do you find a credible resource? And so I actually made a Teachers Pay Teachers product, but then something you said sort of struck a chord because I didn't actually, like, I have the whole product on my computer, right? But I didn't actually list on TPTs. I was like, oh, there's already like a million of these, right? So like I have an identical product. So I was researching for that conference. I was researching fake websites, and there is actually a cool one you could use. I probably shouldn't be telling you since you're my
Oh, it's
competitor
fine.
now.
You don't have to tell me.
Have you ever heard of like that flying, is it like this flying spaghetti tree or something? Like there's some stuff about the flying spaghetti monster. It's a religion. So there's some fake websites about that. And then there's like it's like about sharks in a tree or something like that. Um,
Well, I mean, these are all
website.
so silly. I
Well,
think,
it's like a news article about something that didn't actually happen, and it's like a whole news website, and nothing actually happened, but
well,
they look real.
do you know what? You just gave me an idea too. And maybe people listening, like, I don't care. Like, I really think that like what you have to say and the way that you approach that concept is uniquely you. You know what I mean? Like how you put together the product, the images you use, the way that the lesson flows, like all of that is uniquely you. And so some people are going to be drawn to the way that you lesson plan and the way that you develop that product. They're going to be more drawn to you versus like Common Sense Media or the Whimsical Teacher or whatever. So like I just think there's space for everyone, and everyone's products and everyone's lessons. And like I don't really care if there's a billion products about how to research online. I have my own take on it, my own perspective. But what I was going to say is a lot of these fake news articles are very political, and like kind of complicated. I mean, they're out there, like about COVID and like different, like Trump. I mean, there's tons of stuff out there and like misinformation. But it's all like, I think, above kids' heads. And so I just had a really great idea. A way to use chat gpt is to have chat gpt. I mean, maybe this is unethical because I don't know. Tell me what you think, but like have chat gpt write a fake news article, like, you know what I mean? And then have like different articles, and some are, fake, and some are real, from like actual good websites. But yeah, so I don't know. And then maybe try and make it look real by like putting some, like, a little low, like, news, the newsroom.com. I don't even know if that actually exists. I should probably look it up, but like some sort of fake logo from like Canva or something, and like try and trick kids into thinking that it's real. And like I have a 5-step process for like how to figure out if a source is credible, or if it's fake news.
I
Um,
did. I also did a 5-step process. It was an
oh,
acronym that I used.
I'm so curious, like what, but you haven't even
I
put it
know. I
together.
haven't I
So,
haven't even looked at this product in probably like 2 or 3 years, but yeah, I used a 5-step acronym to determine if something.
oh, mine's not an acronym.
Mine's an
That's cool.
acronym.
Don't tell me. Okay, we're totally getting off topic, but
Okay, but one last thing. I found the website. You got to Google it when you were done with this. It's the tree octopus.
the
I put it in the
tree.
chat. Okay.
Okay.
It's a fake website, and they're trying to convince kids that there's this octopus that lives in a tree. And then they have all these pictures of the octopus in the tree.
Oh
And
my
like
God.
they try to convince kids that this octopus really lives in a tree. And
See?
it's perfect for our age groups because, like the tweens and the middle schoolers and stuff, and probably even your ninth graders next year, right? Because it's something fun and not political. And anyway, I had to
Yeah.
tell you. I had to tell you. I put the link in the chat. Maybe you can use it in your products.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's great. I will, and I really appreciate this help. And like that's another place you can get help is by talking to your friends, your teacher friends. And also one more thing, this is my last tip for getting help, your colleagues. So I had he was a newer teacher and he was on my 8th grade team. Shout out to John Bang. I don't know if he's listening right now.
Hi,
He's
John Bing.
Hi, John Bang. Oh my God, I love him. And actually, I really need to get in contact with him because I haven't talked to him in like over a year. But we used to teach together, and like over the summer, he's really into writing like short stories and fiction and stuff. But he wanted to make some extra cash. And he's like, hey, let me know. Like, if you want me to do anything for you this summer, like I definitely am looking for like some extra cash this summer. So a lot of teachers who aren't even teacher paid teacher people or entrepreneurs are looking to make extra cash too. So like you might tap into like some of your teacher friends at school um to get help, or even bounce ideas off of them.
I love it.
Yeah.
I
Anyways.
think we're done with this episode, so I'm going to put my sunglasses on.
Okay. Toodles.
Toodles!